right. I'm running a little behind. Don't need that. Just gonna wait for a minute to let people get on board, and we're gonna start mystery song number 4. So far, I don't know if I'll stick to this pattern, but so far I've been alternating acoustic, electric, acoustic, electric. And I'm trying to keep things fairly simple and not too, like a song like Stairway to Heaven would have too many sections to it. It just, I mean, it would be mystery song, you know, 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D. I mean, I always joke that I made more money off of teaching Stairway to Heaven than Led Zeppelin made because it took 4 or 5 lessons to teach that thing. Hey, Steve, how's it going? Good morning. Let's see. I need to pull up, maybe get a guitar tone going, just see if I can get a good, just need a, first clue, I need a cleanish sound. Let's see if I can get something going here. Using Logic. This is a GNL. Yeah, I'm just gonna load a guitar rig, which is in Native Instruments. Yeah, so that's. Kind of overdriving it a little bit. Let me see. Pull the volume down here. Maybe the input a little bit. It should be a fairly clean sound, although second clue would be the choruses are going to be a little heavier than the verses. However, I doubt, maybe in the studio when the song was recorded, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do OBS, there we go, and Chrome. Maybe in the studio they punched in. I mean, the song was not 60, so you had more recording options, although it was recorded on a shoestring. And it's a band, and the band didn't really think the song was anything special. In fact, they didn't even like it very much. And they were kind of afraid to play it for anybody, but the drummer's brother really liked it. And that proved to be important. Hey, Holly. Hey, Jan. Joseph. What's going on, Joseph? Renee and Sam. Still a little bit on it. We are going to have bar chords, but we're not going to have 6-string bar chords. And so I will turn this also into a little bit of a bar chord lesson. I get asked all the time. I did that, those 2 videos that are actually 2 of my most popular videos, particularly that darn F chord. Is that right? And then the son of a B chord. So, so F chord is a 4-letter word. And, so we'll have kind of a primer on bar chords. But the nice thing is we won't be making a full bar chord. So these are all little clues into the song. If you already know the song, then you might start to figure it out. But if you already know how to play the song, I guarantee you know this song. Although it wasn't a hit. Oh, thank you, Joseph. Cheers. I can't believe they haven't raised the price of my coffee yet. I mean, you know, with everything, the cost of everything going up. Though my Starbucks was not open for quite a while, like the first of this year, for the first 6 weeks of this year, most mornings it wasn't even open except drive-through. And I walked to it, so they won't let me order in a drive-through lane walking. I tried. I didn't try. I asked. I was like, "Can I just come up to the window?" And they're like, "No, you can't do that." I'm like, "Dang it." So let's see. So this is a band, post 60s. It uses bar chords. but the chorus is heavier and stronger. And so I think if you just kind of get a decent clean amp sound, um, and maybe use humbuckers, you're going to be clean enough on the verses and then gritty enough on the chorus when you dig in. Like I said, the verses have bar chords. The chorus is going to be power chords, and in that makes the difference. Not Toto. Toto music doesn't probably be a little bit on the tough side, and their biggest hits, like Africa. How would you teach that on guitar? I mean, I would have to do some kind of keyboard takedown on guitar, and it would probably be really hard. Be some kind of like figure, that kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. I'm trying to keep it so. Really, my goal here. I mean, what songs have we learned so far? We did last week was "You've Got to Hide Your Love Away," which is just great because it's like. And a lot of people know that song. Not everybody knows that song, but oh, you're making dinner. Perfect. Okay. All right. Catch up later. Music room. Charlie B. Hey, good to see you. Jack Lloyd. Paul Meyer. Good to see you, my friend. Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. Today's a holiday. I forgot. My wife's off today, too. So. And then we did, oh, what, gosh, I'm already forgetting. Isn't that funny? What was it? Okay, wait, I got him right here. Mr. Song 1. Oh, Free Fallin'. Great song, acoustic thing. That's one people know. If they don't know the verses, they know the choruses. Like I said, wait, oh, what did I do? Oh, shoot, did I change all of them? Oh, that's weird. Oh, I changed the text. Oh, dang it. Okay. So mystery song. Shoot, I did my thing wrong. So this should not say Mr. Song 4. It should say Mr. Song 2. But I don't have anything in there. Oh, it was Thank you. Somebody already probably said it. Dazed and Confused, which is a weird song. Not exactly when you would sing at a campfire. But I have a friend, Dave Clark, not of the Dave Clark 5, but he tours and plays guitar with Christopher Cross. He's been friends with Christopher Cross forever. Oh, thanks, Dennis. I'll do that right now. And he knows guitar players are really bad, and I'm chief among them. At playing entire songs, like we'll play the intro to Stairway to Heaven and won't play the whole thing because who really wants to sit there and play an 8-minute song? You're going to lose their attention. It's probably based in experience. We probably, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. And then you're like, and then pretty soon they're off and talking to someone else. So it's probably because of that kind of thing. But there's a lot of guitar players that can play the opening riffs to a million songs, but they can't play a complete song. And we're not mapping out the complete song in here, although there's really only 2 elements to the song. And if you get these 2 elements down, and they both have different skill sets. The verse is like I said, bar chords, and the chorus is power chords, which normally would be easy, but there's a syncopation we're going to have to work on. All right. Oh, yeah. Let me pin it too. I forgot. I got to pin it. There's the link. And then, but Dave can play like complete songs all the way through, knows the words, can sing and everything, and he's the life of a party. So, my goal here is to kind of make you the life of the party, or at least the life of the campfire. And so that's why I'm choosing fairly simple songs. This one's kind of an odd one. I don't know. Although people might sing it, lyrically it's a little odd. So I'm giving you tiny little clues right now. It's not a subject matter that we would normally sing about, but it's not particularly well. I haven't really analyzed the lyrics, and I never sang this song live. Although I'll tell you a story. It's high. It's typical for songs in the 70s and 80s. The guys, and it's a guy. Okay, so it's a band. The verses are bar chords. The choruses are power chords. It's high. I'll tell you right now, it's late 70s. So that really will start to lock it in. Um, and but I remember once I was in the studio and I had the control room to myself, and it was a big studio, and I had the control room to myself, and I put this song on, and I'm singing along with it, and I get to the chorus, and I'm just trying to hit those high notes, and I mean, okay, another clue, the high note, I think it gets up to this D here, okay? On a, normally I would only sing this high, an octave below that. On a good day, I might be able to hit that G. I mean, that's pretty high. And I'm not a singer so much anymore, so my voice isn't there, as when I was singing a lot, obviously. So so I won't be singing it up. I'll sing it down an octave when we're kind of going over it. Let's see, anybody making any guesses yet? Oh, Steve put a dirty word in there. Yes. And I was saying, I'm like going crazy. I'm like this, and so but of course I'm nowhere near pitch. I'm like screaming, and it's just like gravel, and it's just hilarious. But I'm by myself in this giant studio, and I go out to the lobby, and it's full of people, and they're all dying. And I'm like, oh, they're all laughing so hard. I'm like, oh, they heard me the whole time, even though the door was this thick. I was singing so loud, you could totally hear through it. I don't know if you've ever been to a recording studio, but nice studios will have these giant, really, really thick doors. I mean, it's like a 5-inch solid wood door. This one didn't even have a window in it. Not to that room, because it was, like I said, a pretty nice studio. But that was way back. Hey, Leo, good to see you. AJ, what's going on? All right. Well, we're doing mystery songs. So we've done 3 so far, Leo. And like I said, we did, the first one was Free Falling, which was acoustic. Then we did Dazed and Confused, which is a weird one, but it was fun, right? Hopefully, it's... We learned about chromatics. And again, when I'm teaching these things, I'm trying to teach you about music at the same time. And maybe a little bit about the thinking of the harmonies and things like that. I'll give you another clue. This song uses jazz chords. But, so, late 70s, it wasn't a hit. Yep. Yeah, right. Bar chords in the verse. It's a band. Oh, we haven't talked about the tune yet. We haven't named the tune yet, Roger, so don't worry. As soon as I name the tune, I'll put it down there under where it says mystery song, right here. And I totally screwed up because, yeah, I should have created a new text for this instead of editing a previous text. That's why it says mystery song number 4 on mystery song number 3 and mystery song number 2. See, mystery song number 1 was Free Fallin'. Then we did Dazed and Confused. And then last week we did You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. So I'll try to remember to leave those there so we can reference them. But you can go back and watch the videos and see those. Hey, happy President's Day, indeed. A job I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's like, I mean, I think you have to have a huge ego, first off. And secondly, what a pain in the butt. Jeez. I'd rather be a garbage collector than President of the United States. You actually get more done. You have a greater effect on your society. Okay, it's not going to be 80s. It is a trio. Oh, but they were into the 80s, okay? Okay, another Hocus Pocus. Yeah, I'm not going to show Hocus Pocus song. They technically did 5 albums, and then they broke up. So now you should be starting to get close to it here. Yeah, so jazzy chords, bar chords. So that's going to be good because you're going to most likely learn chords you may not know. They're not going to be altered chords, not like that, but they will be 7th chords. And I also taught this song wrong, and I don't know that I ever played it with a band, but my band jammed on it at the time a lot because the bass player in my band could sing that high. So trio. Late 70s, wasn't a hit in the U.S. And when I say it wasn't a hit at the time, it gets a lot of radio play now. And Rick Beato talks, about this. People always make this horrible comparison, like music is not as good today as it was just, long. They're comparing apples and oranges because when they talk about music today, they're talking about the music that they're hearing that's today, and that's pop music. Okay. Now we had the advantage. Most of us are older. We had the advantage of having rock stations that didn't have a lot of catalog to play. Right. I mean, in the '70s, there was only 15 years of maybe 20 years of rock history. I mean, I don't know any rock stations that played Elvis, but they did play Beatles and Stones and stuff, and Cream. But when the '70s came along, Zeppelin comes along, they play Zeppelin, right? So, but now those rock stations are still playing the same music they were playing in the '70s and in the '80s. So it's like there's no station that's playing new music or not in LA. Although we do have a good college station that I listen to a lot. It's not Rush. Rush would probably be too hard for us. And this may be difficult for some of you. I'm hoping most of you have an electric guitar because that makes it a little easier to play bar chords. And again, we're going to talk about, this is the great thing about this is going to be a lesson on bar chords as well, okay? And so far I haven't gotten any copyright infringement strikes, mainly because when I'm not playing the recording of the song, and when I'm playing it, I'm often talking about it, or I'm just playing little snippets. So I don't ever think I'm playing, and this one should not trigger that either. So, abracadabra. No, but that would be a fun one. Bum, 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 dum, bum, bum. Emerson and Palmer, I wish. Wait a minute. I want to make sure if we got Rush. Leo's kind of getting tired now, waiting. Oh yeah, Rush is awesome, but they're hard. Yeah, that's harder. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I learned no, not Crosby, Stills, Nash. No, that would probably be more skew towards acoustic. There may be a song. Yeah, he talks a lot about Nirvana, and we may learn Teen Spirit at some point. That's a fun song. That may be one of our electric songs. It's most people play it wrong. Yeah, 5 albums they broke up. Good guess, the Cars. Right era. Did the Cars only do 5 songs? Okay, so it's a trio. So Cars were more than a trio, I think, right? The Cars were a 4-piece. Boom. Yeah, they did. Holly got it. Holly got the band. Yay, Holly. I'm glad Holly got it. I'm glad a moderator got it. You guys do all this work for, it's like, you got to get some kudos. All right. So we're going to learn Roxanne. Oh, I forgot. One of the other clues was, actually it was going to be my first clue because it's the most useless clue, but there was a credit for butt piano on the recording. Oh yeah, Jane's Addiction's great too. Yeah, that's got some jazzy chords. So, Roxanne is a G minor. And like I said, I played this wrong for a long time. I thought it was an F7 sus to G7 sus, but it's actually, he's just playing sus chords. He's just playing simple sus chords. So there are some bar chords that you're going to have to go across 3 strings. So the G minor, the F you don't really need any, but I kind of leave my finger there anyway. Why take it off? And then here you're going to have to go across 5 strings. You're only going to need to be, the bar's only going to be responsible for 2 notes. Here we go 5 strings, but the bar's going to be responsible for 3 notes. And then when I say the bar's going to be responsible, it means that 3 notes are depending on that bar. Sometimes we play a bar chord like, you don't really need to, you really want to get this note and this note. And so you can kind of arch the finger a little bit. It doesn't need to be a super flat bar where you get your thumb back here and your elbows tucked in here. So, you saw The Police in '82. That's pretty awesome. So, yeah, that is like, I mean, dang, Sting. I mean, and he doesn't even do that anymore. Years ago, I think at Secret Police with Ball, he didn't even sing that high. That's like 83. It didn't take long. And he was a English teacher, I think, in high school, English teacher or substitute teacher, something like that. and Andy Summers was the oldest member of the band, and I think he was quite a bit older. And he toured with the Animals. He was like a member of the Animals after they were famous, kind of thing. Oh well, at least Music Room, you know what song it is. And you can come back if you go, oh, I hate that song. Then come back. If you like that song, you can come back and watch it again. Yeah, Synchronicity was a great. Well, and for me, I didn't really get into the Police. I remember my neighbor playing me the Police record, Outlandish Day of More, which is what Roxanne's on. And Roxanne actually got them the deal. And it was Miles Copeland Stewart's brother who became their manager. And Miles was only into punk bands. And the Police were kind of this weird hybrid of punk and reggae. And it's funny because they originally they did this song, I forget what the style was, but it wasn't the way it was. And they changed it, and it was Stuart Copeland, the drummer, that suggested they do it like a mambo. And I'm like, how is it a mambo or a samba? But it's neither. I'm like, I don't hear a samba in there. I hear reggae more than anything, just because of the chops, right? And the bass. So the bass part. So if you listen to some reggae stuff, like if you pull up some Bob Marley, listen to the bass. And again, this is one of the things that I want you to learn from our lessons here when I'm teaching you songs, is to learn to listen to individual instruments in the band. Be able to pick out what the drum's doing, the kick, the snare, even individual instruments of the drummer. Different parts of the instrument. What's the bass player doing? What's the keyboard player doing? What's the guitar player doing? Same thing when I'm working on orchestrating stuff. I'm like, okay, what should the flutes be doing? Should the flutes double the cellos here, or should the oboes double the cellos here? What about I should have the flutes double the violas, and that kind of thing. And that's the kind of stuff you when you're orchestrating, you need to be able to hear every instrument in the orchestra. When you listen to something, go, oh, there's the oboes, or the clarinets. The bassoons. Oh, here come the bassoons. Oh, bass trombones. Okay, that's the kind of thing. That's very detailed. But with a rock band, you usually just have to find guitar, bass, drums. But if you listen to the bass in reggae tunes, one of the things that's really common, and you can also usually will be the kick drum, because usually, oftentimes the kick and the bass are doing the same thing. So if the kick is going, but if the bass is going, the kick is probably doing something like boom, 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 or boom, 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 something similar to what the bass is doing. You wouldn't want to do da 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 da, and the bass is going da 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 da. You wouldn't want to do that. It would create, particularly in the lower frequency, it would create a lot of havoc. But if you listen to Roxanne, I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to pull it up, but the bass is playing 2, 4, 1, and 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2. So he's like 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay, and avoiding the downbeat or the 1, same thing, is very common, very, very common in reggae music. So that's what makes me think this is a reggae. I wouldn't think samba or mambo. I can't remember. I was reading, it's on with the Wikipedia. I was just reading the Wikipedia page. Yeah, it's kind of ska. Ska, I always think of as being fast reggae, right? So like reggae is like 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it was a ska tune, you'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I always think of No Doubt, which is like they took ska and merged it with rock, right? The Police merged punk with reggae, and they were fairly punky. I mean, the chorus of this song is punky. And like I said, it's bar chords or power chords. The chorus is going to be power chords, and it has a syncopation. But the nice thing about this song, and the nice thing about me choosing songs that are really common, popular, well-known, is that I'm going to show you the rhythm, but once you know the chords, you probably will just play it correctly because you have it in your head. But I'm going to show you how the rhythm is written out so you can see it, okay? All right. Now, yeah, it's actually, and part of the reason I think, because the bass player was a singer in this band, part of the thing was Sting didn't play really complex bass parts. Geddy Lee, on the other hand, we're talking about Rush, he would play pretty complex bass parts. So I'm sure he had to really probably sat down at home and was working the bass parts and the vocal parts at the same time because they were very contrary oftentimes. Sting would do some contrarian stuff, but it was much more rock and driven, and a lot of times he's he can sing over that. He can sing over that because it's just driving. Okay, it's almost solid eighth notes with some syncopations. Yeah, he was in Quadrophenia, I know, which is crazy because that was before the Police, right? I mean, maybe they were. What year was Quadrophenia? 76. Now, their first single was released in 77, and I just listened to it yesterday for the first time. I'd never heard it. I forget what it was called. Spirit of the Radio is what I played earlier. Yeah, the little snippet from. That would be a hard. That would be a tough one for us to learn. Okay, so let's start jumping into these chords. Okay, I've got them all written out for you, so we can hopefully you can see this. Oh no, here, this is what I want. Sorry. Okay. Hopefully, well now you can. It's so big. Hopefully you'll be able to see those fingering numbers there. Okay. So you can see the dotted line strings are strings we don't play. So the first two chords are 4-string chords, and the last two string are 4-string chords. And then the middle 3 chords are 5-string chords. So we never play the 6th string on the verses. Okay, and I'm pretty sure these are the chords he's playing. I may be wrong, but I'm close enough that where if you start playing this, everybody will know exactly what song you're doing, okay? So the fingerings now, instead of writing them on the bottom like I used to, and I'm not giving you a lot of information here. Remember, sometimes I would put 3 lines of info underneath there. I would give you the fingerings, I would give you the notes names, and then the voicings of those notes related to the tonic. So in other words, I would put 3 down there and then 3 ones, and then I would put G, B flat, D, G, and then I would say, okay, that's the root, the flat third, the fifth, and the third. It's just, the problem with that is it takes up too much space. These are a lot more concise. It took me a little while to get those numbers to line up in those circles. I grouped them so they stay together now, but it's just funny because it took me like, dang it, how do I get them to stay together? I forgot how to group. And of course, I'm using Pages, which is not Word, but it's a Word knockoff in Apple. Okay, so, so it was after the Police. Okay, so he was already in the Police. Now, like I said, Roxanne wasn't a hit in the U.S. It broke the top 40. I think it hit 13 in the U.K. This was 78. This was right before, because this was right about the time that I really think that U.S. radio programmers started looking at the UK charts to get their songs. They did it in the 60s, but they kind of stopped doing it because American music kind of took over in the 70s. I mean, you had Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and things like that. You had Elton John, but Elton John was big here. And everybody knew in England that if you really had to be successful, you had to be successful in the U.S. The Beatles even knew that. And the Police were not trying to write hits, and like I said, they didn't really even like the song very much. They didn't really think it fit, and yet Stuart Copeland's brother, who managed punk bands, and they especially didn't think he would like it. He did. He thought it was a smash, and it's actually literally probably their biggest song of the night when they would play. So, what did you? Oh, nice. And got hacked. You entered the contest and got hacked? Dang. Okay. Alex has a guitar signed by the U2. He has it somewhere. I don't know where it is. He doesn't have it hung up or anything like that. Someone gave it to him. They thought, I'm just fine-tuning here. Okay. So the first chord is a little bar chord, a little baby bar chord, we can call it. We're going to bar the top 3 strings at the 3rd fret. Okay. And then we're going to reach down and get this 5th fret of the 4th string. Okay, and that's our G minor chord. Really our tonic chord. If we were to end the song, you could totally end on a G minor chord. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised. Here's the thing about like these chops, you know, because you want energy. So what happens though? You don't want to hit the the unfretted strings. I didn't really see Andy playing when I watched a couple of videos of him playing live, and I pretty much saw him doing this kind of thing. So when you're a good player, you can really control what strings you're hitting. But if you're not a good player, if you hit all those strings, what chord is that? See, that would be let's see, E minor with a at 11. See, E minor, because I got a G, E minor flat 5, E minor 7 flat 5 with an 11. It's like, no, you just want G minor. It's very simple. Okay. And so, one of the tricks, you'll notice my thumb's not up here. I could probably play it, see, I could play it fine with my thumb up here, and that would help me mute these strings. But when you're getting good, you know, you can aim for these top 3 strings, and if you happen to hit the 4th string, great. If you aim for 4 strings, you might accidentally hit 5, okay? You don't want to hit 5. So, you aim for 3 and maybe grab that 4th string on an occasional hit like that. And just practice it. And it's just quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, let's talk about the bar chord. Get that bar back there. You know, your thumb being behind it and across from it like this is probably a really helpful thing. But again, it takes your thumb away from being able to mute strings. So your right hand has to be a little bit more precise. And what you do is just do those 3. Keep your fingers off. You know, you could technically put your second finger on top of your third and maybe use your pinky here. I think that's more difficult. It's just better. And also, keep your finger up against the fret wire. Okay, so I'm not at the back of the fret. I'm at the front of the fret. So I can actually feel the fret on my finger, but I'm not on top of the fret. You go on top of the fret, you're just going to mute the strings. You want the finger right behind the fret. Let the fret do the work, because there's 2 levels here. There's fret level and there's fretboard level. And if you put your finger back here, you're going to have to push the strings down to fretboard level, which is further. This is like fret levels is here, like you get those strings against the frets and they're ringing out. Okay, so it's less work. And all guitar players are basically lazy human beings. I'll tell you that right now. Okay? And then this finger might be the more difficult thing to get out there, but if you have to, you can use your pinky, I suppose, but third finger is better. Okay? And we're just going to chop it. Now, it starts with that. If it starts with the butt piano, Sting sits on the piano, the tape is going, sits on the piano, he laughs. That's actually part of the original recording. That's when they sat down to do it, okay? Oh, great, Gary. Yeah, I keep meaning to text you, Gary. I keep forgetting. I'll try to remember. You sent me your phone number, so I'll hit you up. I just gotta remind myself. Okay, so that's the first chord, and it starts out with 8 hits of that, and then when the song starts, it does 4. Okay, so pretty much we're gonna do 4 hits of all of these chords except the last one, the G sus. We're gonna push. It'll be on the and of 4, and we're going to hit it and let it ring. Okay? And then it goes. You can even push it with an upstroke just because you're doing you're chopping wood here. It's called chopping wood. That's a term that goes back to the 40s. And that's what guitar players would have to do. They would have to hit, because they didn't have amps. They just had big jazz boxes. And they're in a band with a full horn section, and they're a lot louder than you are. In fact, if you ever seen the movie Gangster Squad with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, it's not a great film. It could have been better, but I'm in that, and I'm chopping wood in that movie. And so you can see me behind Ryan and Gosling and Emma Stone are having a conversation at the bar, and you can see me behind them chopping wood. And the weird thing is, I'm out of focus. So I could totally be lying to you. Somebody probably just, oh, Tom, that looks like you. So now it's me. No, I really did do it. We've talked about this before. Okay, now the next chord, it doesn't have any bar. But I'm going to kind of leave my first finger barred there if you want. Because you're going to need it on the next chord. Okay? And the next chord is F6. Okay? So here's F. Here would be a full bar F chord. If we take the top 4 strings of that F, we have F, A, C, F. You could also, I'm sure, where's Sam? Sam's gonna say, yeah, well, that could also be a first inversion D minor chord. Yeah, okay, but let's just. I want the notion that the bass line's going G, F, E flat, D. It's just descending. So we're gonna call it an F6, but you could technically call this a D minor over F, which would be D minor first inversion. Okay, but we can think of it as an F6. One way to think of a sixth, you're very familiar with the sound of a sixth. It's kind of the second chord in that old school rock and roll Monkees kind of vibe. Sam's like, yeah, that's me. Do I know you, Sam? I do love the fact, I was just thinking about this yesterday. I love the fact how diverse. Look at my three moderators. We got Holly in California. We got Bruce in Florida. And then we've got Dennis. Dennis, are you here? Oh, yeah, Dennis. And then Dennis is in Holland. And it's like, my moderators are like geographically spread out, different stages of life. And it's just, to me, it's interesting. You know, I just think it's cool that we all come together for this. What's the common denominator? What brings us to, I don't know. Anyway. You know, my son almost fell for a scam. Well, he didn't almost fall for a scam because he never got to the point where they asked him for money. But he got an email, and because we work at a church, people are always saying, "Hey, do you want something? I have something to give you." You know, and which is cool. You know, it's sweet, and people want to get rid of something, and they're like, "Oh, maybe someone at church would want it." So got this email for a Yamaha grand piano, $24,000 grand piano that her husband died. You know, it sounded really legit. She included pictures that totally, sounded legit. And it was a scam. Basically what you do is you send them money to ship it to you. And then nothing ever happens. So, love for music and guitar. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Dennis. You could be on 1,000 other channels with that. Because we hardly talked about anything yet so far. Okay, so there's the G minor. The F6, yeah, you can play it with your first finger on there. You don't have to bar your first finger. I think because I don't, you know what? I think I moved my finger down to the top two strings for that. You're going to need a 5-string bar in the next chord. So to go to like that, and then, now the cool thing about, if you look at the top, look at the second, third, and fourth string on the F6, and look at the second, third, and fourth string on the E flat major 7. Okay, they're the same. So if you're just sliding up, and that's such a jazzy chord. But when you're chopping it, and in a punk context, it's just funny. It doesn't sound jazzy at all. Just all right. So okay. So that's the first chord. Play the G minor. All right, and then F6, and this is a perfect example of how to get to proficiency faster. Just go, if you're having a hard time playing those two chords, don't do 4 chops of this and 4 chops of that. Just do 1 each. Go back and forth. You don't really ever need to go from F6 to G minor, but it doesn't hurt to have that skill. Okay, we're going to do the same thing now. We're at the next chord. We're at F6 here. We're going to go all the way up to the 6th fret, and these 3 fingers that were at the 3rd, 2nd, and 3rd fret now are going to be at the 8th and 7th and 8th fret. Okay, so just, and then bar 5 strings. And now I'm deadening the 6th string with the tip of my first finger. I guess technically you could bar the G minor chord with kind of go 4-string bar instead of a 3-string bar and deaden that A string. You could totally do that if you wanted to. You could even do it with this, kind of deaden that 5th string. And then here we're going to grab the 5th string but deaden the 6th string. So I'm using the tip of my first finger to touch, see? And it works pretty well too. If this were D major 7, there's a harmonic there. Or if this were E major 7, there's a harmonic there. Now that harmonic actually fits in the chord. That's a B, and there's a B in the E major 7. So it's not too bad. This is an E, and there's no E in D major 7, but that one's pretty hard to get. But this one, especially if I were on a bridge pickup, then you'd be more likely to hear that. but this is E flat major 7. Okay, so we have I'm barring the top 5 strings, but my bar is only responsible for the 5th string and the 1st string, and then we're going to have our fingers here. Second finger's on the 3rd string, third finger's on the 4th string, and pinky is on the 2nd string. And notice that the pinky and the 3rd finger are on the same fret, so it's not like this, it's like this. Okay, those diagrams, you can see those letters. I mean, if you're looking on your phone, those numbers might be kind of small. 6th fret. Hopefully, you got everything right. You know. Okay, and then now it's if you've got that bar down, and here's one of the things. Again, keep your finger up against the and get your thumb behind the neck. These are all things that are helpful for bar chords. Another thing is you don't really need. You just need to get these 2 notes with the bar. So. Oh yeah, Valerie, yeah, I can see that. So the other thing you want to do is if you're just pluck through the notes one at a time and see if there are any problem notes. Like for example, then you got to make an adjustment and try it again. And then what I would do is take your hand off and make the chord again. Take your hand off, make the chord again. Because what we're doing when we're doing this is developing finger memory. You want to remember the way this chord feels. Okay, and you may have to reposition everything, and it may be a slow process to take your hand off and put it back on again, but it's a really good way. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's Bruce, you're on top of it. Of course, it's now going to say Roxanne on all the other ones, which is so stupid. I have to change that. Thank you, Bruce. And I can move this down. I don't need it to be, oh, not that. This. Okay. Now it's not a mystery. Okay. And then all we do, and the other thing is you want to maybe play the F6 and then the E flat major 7. And the tempo of the song is going to determine how fast that changes, right? So if I'm good. Okay? So you can kind of get a sense of how fast you have to get there. Oh, you cut your ring finger on the fretting hand. Oh, I hate that. Okay, so let me see if I can revoice these without the ring finger in it. So you can turn that into a little mini exercise. Like I said, you can really maximize your time and do a micro exercise. Okay, then the next 2 chords are minor 7th chords. So this is we didn't really talk about the notes in this. E flat, B flat, D. There's the major 7th. Here's the 3rd. Okay, so right there we have all 4 notes. So if it says it's a 7th chord, it's 4 notes. All right, we have E flat, G, B flat, and D. All right, and if I played them in order, you would hear "Color My World." That's a C major 7 chord. I think it's in C. Right, but that would be played, and I don't think he I think it goes up here. And you get that B on top. So you got 2 B flats there. It gives it a little bit more brightness. Okay? And so it's the same technical voicing when we go down to D minor. We have the root, the 5th, the 7th, and the 3rd. Here we have the root, the 5th, the 7th, and the 3rd. It's just minor chords. Okay? So now D minor, we're at the 5th fret. You're going to bar the 5 strings, top 5 strings. Maybe try that. See if you can get all 5 notes to ring out. Okay? Don't put your 2nd finger on there. We're going to need our 2nd finger. So your 1st finger has to work independently here. Again, don't play at the back of the fret. Play towards the front of the fret. Don't go on the fret. That'll be dead. Be right behind the fret. Let the fret do the work. Just all you have to do is push the string down to fret height. Okay? And then you're going to add your 2nd finger here on the 2nd string, 1 fret up, and you're going to add your 3rd finger up. So if you can get all these to ring out, you're not going to have a problem getting these ringing out. Okay. Again, only 60% of the chord depends on the bar, but that's a pretty big percentage. Okay. Here we had 3 of the 4 notes, so 75% depended on bar, but we only had to bar 3 strings. Here we had only, 2 of 5, so that was 40%. Here we're going to have 60% of the chord depends on the bar, so we're going to have it down. And then this is D minor 7. The next chord is C minor 7. So it's just a matter of moving your hand down like this. So if you have this, so where the challenge will be going from E flat major 7 to D minor 7. Anybody have any problems? Oh, yeah, Chad gets to wear a glove. Yeah, probably on his right hand to protect his nails. I've never done that, but it's not a bad idea. And I'll tell you, I remember one time I was going to a gig and I closed the trunk of my car, right? And my hands were just slightly wet and they slipped. And instead of closing the trunk, my nails just bent back and I broke 2 nails closing the trunk of my car. So now I've got it in my head that I close the trunk from the top, not just like just like this. I grab the top and push it down. And I never slam anything. I've never slammed doors or trunks or anything like it because I always feel like if you slam it, it's going to wear out sooner. So it's true of your hands too. Okay, so this is a nice little exercise. It's a really good little exercise. In fact, I told you I want to do a like mini chord harmony. Like I could totally do these mini ones. Like I love this D major 9 to E over D. It's a great little exercise. It's musical. I love that. And I could literally make it a 60-second video on YouTube. Probably should do it. Also, like where you're just doing finger exercises, but that are musical ideas at the same time. So I've been mulling it. I thought about doing a big video with like 10 of them, but maybe I should just do little mini ones. I could do it on TikTok. The problem with TikTok is it's not revenue, and at this point, and I don't know that I did do a TikTok for my most recent video, which I hadn't done in a while, and I think I got 500 views or something of both the TikTok and where is that? Turn my volume down. Oh yeah, Bruce, I played that song, the intro to the video I did. Let's see. Oh, it's getting some likes. Oh no, it's only 259. 5 likes, yeah. Interesting. TikTok is kind of weird. I think the 4th video I posted has something like 180,000 views, and then it's just nothing after that. It's so random. Okay, so D minor 7. So we have D, A, C, F. If I were to play those notes in the order, it would sound like that. Very difficult chord to play. That's why this is a drop 2 chord technically. We've talked about those in the past, but technically this middle 4 strings is a drop 2 chord. And then, so that's D minor 7, then we just go to C minor 7. Okay. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret, second finger on the 4th fret and 3rd fret. Yeah, mini boot camp for your fingers, 10 fretboard works. Yeah, Steve, the idea for that, my video for that is, I would say 10 melodic fretboard exercises. right? Because I want exercises are great, they're it's they're but they're not musical. There's nothing musical about this. Oh wait, Holly, something serious? Physical? Oh, really? Physical therapy? You cut it bad. Were you working out in your yard, Holly? Because Holly's like this nature woman. She's like a lumberjack. That's how I envision you, Holly, as a lumberjack. Out there, taming the wilds of California. Because you're out there. You're really out in the wild. And then the last one. And those are good exercises for finger independence and to kind of warm up. I'll use those exercises to kind of get blood to my hands, especially the older I get. Could all be part of a play. Yeah, I could do mini ones and put them in a playlist. That way I don't have to. I could do like a little graphic for it. I mean, even this is two chord one. And then there could be a deeper dig like into it, like here's the harmony, whatever, here are the notes, that kind of thing. But yeah, this is a very Lydian, very D-Lydian kind of thing. Kind of like taking a D chord and sliding up 2 frets. It's kind of the similar. Actually, it's almost more like one A to E over D. Bob Schumann's in the house. Hey. So, okay, so we're down to C minor 7. Okay. And then the next chord is, we just have to bar the top 2 strings. Just top 2 strings. Chuck Berry. Just top 2 strings. Okay. And then get these 2 strings, the 3rd and 4th string at the 3rd fret with your 3rd and 4th finger. You're putting your 3rd finger on the 4th string and your 4th finger on the 3rd string. everything with this is a tongue twister for me. Okay? And this is the only time we have a rhythm other than a quarter note. Okay, so far we've been chopping wood. Okay, we've been going to chop. I'm going to turn down. I don't know if you can hear this. Right? 2, 3, 4, and you can go with an upstroke on that. So we can practice that. That's going to be you know what, I can just turn down the room a little bit. My USB device. That's too much. Okay. So play the F sus. Okay, now the F sus is F suspended 4. Shorthand is F sus. Saves that much black ink, right? Yeah, yeah. Holly, yeah. You do operate. See, I know you operate like heavy machine, not heavy machinery, but machinery. I need to plane a door. Alex and I yesterday, it was like Alex was over yesterday, and I'm thinking I got a new rug for the entryway. You know, I got a rug from Pakistan. I got this place in Pakistan I like to get Oriental rugs from. They're just beautiful, and I just love supporting. You know, I'm sure that the $200 I spent for this rug was a fortune to them. But anyway, and the pile was it was about that thick, and the door in the hallway, the closet door, the front door opens fine, but the closet door in that little entryway, it wasn't clearing it, so it's bunching up the rug. So I'm like, we got the bedroom door is the same door, and it's got like this, I don't know, 3/4 inch clearance for some reason. Like air gets under it. I think the house had carpet at some point, and so they had all these doors that had high clearance, which makes complete sense. You got pad and carpet, you're going to want high clearance. So I'm like, well, and the entryways, tile basically. So it didn't need that. But we took the door off the bedroom door, and it's like the same size door, and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't shut. And we're like, dang it. So we took another door off. We just kept measuring, and we're like, it's the same size. We take it in, and it's just like this. And it kind of determined that the entryway, that it kind of settled and twisted the door frames. So the door that's in there had been filed, but we need to plane the bottom of the door. I need to take about an 1/8 inch off. This is where I wish Bruce were here. I need Bruce. Bruce, come here. I need your help. Because you got all the tools. So I'm actually going to buy I'm just going to get an electric planer. I don't want to get an old-fashioned one because I know it would be all uneven and I might chip the door. I think a motorized planer is going to be better. Okay. Day in a life. But it was pretty funny because it was Keystone Cops with me and Alex. And we were just laughing about it. At some point, it just got to be funny because it was like, we just kept taking doors off and then having to put them back on. And okay. So here's the song again. G minor to F6. All the way, slide the 3 fingers. See, these three fingers don't change shape at all. If you'll notice, F6 and E flat 7 almost look the same. It's almost like you're just sliding the chord up to the 6th fret, but you do have to grab, you do want to get that bass note. Even though you do have a bass player. And then go down a fret and you get D minor, 7. Okay, and again, you can see my fingering here. My pinky's not doing anything. I could put my pinky here. I wanted to do that. Like if I'm doing hip hop stuff, I might do that. Okay, and then we're going to C minor 7, and then F7 sus, okay, and G7 sus. And let's practice this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, and. That's a syncopation that's going to come in handy because it's also in the chorus that on the pushes on 4 is going to come in handy. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I found one for $40, AJ. It's a cheap one. I need, you know, if it lasts the length of the job, I don't know how many doors I'm going to need to plane, but you're right. But to go to Home Depot and go through all that rigmarole and then come on and have to bring it back, it's just like, no, I'll just have Amazon ship me one. I watched this video and the guy had one. The one he used that worked totally fine was $40. Well, I found one at the local, not Home Depot, but it's called DIY, and it was like $170. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to spend $170 on a tool I might use 5 times, you know. So, hey, Smedley's Originals. Here we go. So I didn't write out a chart for this section of the song, okay? Do a screen grab right now if you can, because I'm gonna take this down and I'm gonna put up the chorus section, okay? Well, let me just go over the. Oh no, we got to go over the pre-chorus, okay? So it's the same chords. It's the bottom 3 chords. I'll go with the song. ROXANNE. You don't have to put on the red line. You don't have to say nobody tonight. ROXANNE, right? You don't have to wear that dress tonight. Love the dry triplets and the melody. Walk the streets for money. You don't have to. And I mean, sell your body to the night. I mean, there is no. I mean, this. You can already hear Dream of the Blue Turtle in this. There is really, literally nothing punk about this. It's funny because Stuart Copeland did a documentary called So What? And it was about the punk, the origins of the punk rock movement, which was really the movement that launched the Police into fame. And the rest of the record is very similar, but maybe a little bit more punky. You know, there's songs on there, you know, can't stand losing, I can't. But punk rock lyrically was more political, and the police weren't very political. You know, these were love stories. This song was about, you know, they were in Paris doing a show at the Nashville, and he saw hookers because they're probably near Pig Alley, which is where the hookers are in Paris. And then there was a poster of Cyrano de Bergerac in his hotel, and it had ROXANNE, and that's where he got the name ROXANNE from. So it was just kind of a combination. He wrote the song in Paris, and he didn't really think it was that, you know, like I said, they didn't think it was that good of a song. But the melody, you know, like his melody writing is very jazzy, very, very sophisticated. Whereas punk rock, like if you listen to the Sex Pistols, you're not talking about sophisticated melodies. And so I would not categorize the Police as punk. However, they did capture the spirit of punk. And so Stewart did this movie called So What? And it's interesting because the whole punk movement, the spiked hair, the piercings everywhere, right? The colored hair, the clothes is tattered, all that stuff. The only the reason it's hilarious. It's like it's again just government action and human reaction, and that's what it was. Punk movement was a human reaction to government action. The government action was, we'll pay you unemployment. If you can't find a job, we'll pay you unemployment. So the human reaction was, well, I don't want to work. They're paying me not to work. So the problem was they would go to interviews and they'd get the job. So what they did was they literally made themselves look completely unhireable, undesirable, unwantable. And that's why the punk rock movement, the old spiked hair and the tattered clothes and the piercings everywhere, that was so they could go into it, because they had to go to job interviews. They go to a job interview and the guy sitting behind the desk go like, yeah, no, we're not hiring you. And he's like, cool. Another week of unemployment. That's totally the truth. So Stuart Copeland did a documentary on that. It's just fascinating. But it's classic, human reaction to the higher ups making some kind of edict or demand or opportunity in this case. So now the B section or the pre-chorus. So that's the verse. So you don't have to put on the red light, Roxanne. So it's 4 strums of C minor 7, okay, and like I said, I didn't do a full-on chart of this. Sorry. I think you know the song, so once you get the chords down, you can kind of find your way through. I didn't do a full-on chart. The chorus is going to look more like a normal chart, so you'll have that. In fact, I'll drag them to Discord right now. The two things. Okay. So what you're seeing here is going to be in Discord, and you can print it up. And if you want to add it to this other thing, let's see, Tom's lessons and PDFs. Oh yeah, and Holly made co-join them. Is that a bad word? Co-join. All right. And just hit return. There we go. So there's that. And then the other section is going to be the chorus, and it's just a regular chart because we're just going to be dealing with the same shape chord. We don't need to see the chords. It's just power chords. Okay? But it's the syncopation that I want you to see written. Again, I'm trying to make you better musicians at the same time as learning a song. Okay? So even if you don't understand how to read this, it's just to see it, to start to visualize and to conceptualize what syncopations look like on paper. Not a bad thing. All right. Am I losing everybody? What's my view count? 38. That's not bad. Okay. Weird. It gave me a big graph and then the numbers. But yeah, we've gotten up to 41. Okay, cool. All right. Well, stick with me. So the pre-chorus, which is just where you say, Roxanne, Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. This is where I got laughed at in that studio. Roxanne, Roxanne. Nope. See, that's not even the D yet. He gets to the D. That's B flat to G, Roxanne. That's high, Roxanne. And see, the rock, and I'm going to go Beato on you here. He's singing the 7th of that chord. Roxanne. You don't have to put on the red light. And all he's doing is the F sus and then G sus. So it's 4 strums of C minor 7, 4 strums of F sus, sorry, and then 8 strums of G sus. So that makes up a 16 strums, which is 4 bars. There's 4 strums per bar, so it's 16. So that makes complete sense. 4 bar chunks. This whole song is 4 bar chunks. The chorus is a little weird. I think it's 12 plus 1. But it also loops at some point. So it just kind of keeps going. It's kind of it's almost like a loop progression. It's kind of a weird progression. So, Roxanne, and then he does again. Roxanne. And then here's where that pushes. You don't have to put out the red light. And then you could, at this point, like when you're hitting this G sus chord, I think it's the bass, but it could be guitars too. Right? It kind of builds into that, bum, bum, the rock part, okay? When the clouds block, Oh, okay. So let's see. Do we want more sun or do we not want more sun? Yeah. So hopefully that helps a little. I'm getting washed out. It's okay. It was it's gonna get we got clouds out there, so it's gonna come and go. It almost rained this morning, but it didn't. Dang it! I was like, dang it! I want to turn off my sprinklers tonight. The 24-hour pause button is a great button. So it does that twice, but the second time it's going to do that push. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. And you can see my second. I'm not flipping you off. I'm not insulting my audience. I'm just kind of using it to deaden these strings. Okay, but you could, if you tuck it back, whatever. But it's not doing anything other than touching these strings to kind of help. So I can dig in a little harder, have a little more energy, have a little more fun, and not worry about hitting strings that are going to make. Woo, those are bad notes. You don't want those bottom two strings open, especially in the key of G minor. So. Where do we go? Okay. Now, it is a 9-bar phrase when you think about it. So it's not a perfect 8-bar. So just watch along with the chord. And then it's going to go to C minor 7 to Roxanne. You don't have to put on the red light, Roxanne. Okay, so now we're going to talk about power chords. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this, or maybe what I'll do is let's make it really, really teeny, so I don't have to add it again. So if I reference it, so wee little chords, you're like, I can't read that. Yeah, you're not supposed to be able to. Okay, now here's the next section. All right, so the 5 designation, and this is the first chorus. The second chorus is going, and there's a breakdown section. I'm not showing you that. I'm basically showing you the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus. They're all 5 chords. I'm going to explain that in a second. So the names of the chords are at the top. The frets you find them at are at the bottom. Okay. One of the first lessons I would teach when I was teaching was I would try to get you to memorize the bottom 2 strings, so that if you memorize the bottom 2 strings, you could find all these power chords. I could tell you B5 to D flat, or D5 to E5 to G5 to F sharp 5, whatever, and you could find them. If I said play A flat 5, you go, oh, right here. If I said play F5, you play right here. Okay, so we've got 6 chords here. We have 2 F5s, but there's 2 different ones. We're going to be this F5 and this F5. Okay. Now a power chord or a 5 chord, same thing. I'll probably more likely call it a power chord than a 5 chord. But a power chord is just a root and a fifth, and you can also do I'm going to show you root fifth root. Okay. So the first chord is C5. Okay. We're just coming off of that. It's perfect because our 2 fingers on that G sus, not Jesus, but G sus, God's only begotten chord there, G sus. Those 2 fingers are exactly where we need to be. We're going to take the first finger. We don't need to bar now. Power chords are just one note with the first finger, so that's great. We're going to get that C note right there, 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then we're playing. So I'm getting the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then I'm getting the 5th fret of the 4th string, and I'm using my pinky right underneath it. I told you, remember that time I said my student showed up with masking tape, taping these 2 fingers together because he kept doing this, kept separating, and he getting this weird like minor 9th or flat 9th thing going. So he was like, I figured out. He shows up. It helps me play the chord right. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. But basically, they're on the same fret. So you want that pinky on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. okay? And so that's a power chord. So basically, when you play it by playing that, just like all these bar chords, don't forget all these bar chords. This is G minor, this is G sharp minor, this is A minor. You're learning 12 chords every time you learn one bar chord, because bar chords are movable to all 12 positions. So I love that you can maximize your knowledge. And so the best way to do that is to learn, in this case with these power chords, is to learn the notes on the bottom two strings. So if you haven't memorized the notes on the bottom two strings, you can do that. You can do that, you know, I don't know, you can do exercises, you can just visualize, you can write it 1,000 times if you want, you know, whatever gets you there. That's C. That's a C note, so this is a C5 chord, and it just goes to B flat, okay? Now look at the rhythm. Well, let's just talk about the chords in B flat, okay? Then we're gonna go take that shape and go up to the 6th fret, and that's 6, and then to the 8th fret, okay? And then we're gonna go, oh, sorry, Sam. No, the key, Sam. That's the same key signature for G minor. G minor and B flat have the same key signature. You don't notate it. It doesn't say B flat there. It says, as far as I'm concerned, that says G minor. It is the key of B flat, but it's also the key of G minor. So they're enharmonic. Yeah. And I didn't need to put any key signature there, but I did. There's no notes written there. It's just rhythm slashes, okay? And we're going to go over those. The rhythm in a second, but yeah, I decided to put the key signature in there, but that's the key signature for G minor. Oh, last week, Lennon, what did sure. Yeah, G minor, G Aeolian. Yep, same thing. Sam prefers the Greek name. I wonder why. Okay, so there's those two of the 6 chords. The next two, and they're all a whole step apart. E flat to F. Okay? So if we're in G minor, we can think of this as the 4 chord to the 3 chord. And we haven't really talked about minor keys or minor scales and minor harmony, but we can, yeah, you can think of it in the key of B flat if you want. But ultimately, the song kind of has if you were to end this song, that's what I always say. What chord do you want to end on? You're not going to end on a B flat. It's just like, right? You know, you don't have to put on the red light, Roxanne. You're not going to end on that. You're going to end on Roxanne. You're going to end on a minor. In fact, I think that's how they ended, actually. So it's in G minor, even though G minor and B flat are the same key. So key signature-wise, there's no difference in how you would notate that. Okay, so we have C to B flat, E flat, 6th fret to the 8th fret, and then this F we're going to play down an octave. 1st fret, we're going to move down to the bottom 3 strings, play a power chord at 1st fret, and then go to the 5th fret, okay? So let's do these again. Put your 1st finger on C, 3rd, 4th finger, 2 frets up on the same fret together, 4th and 3rd string. You got C5, okay? And the reason I call it C5, and I've called it C5 for a long time, or 5 chord. I've called power chords 5. Used to say we used to write C parentheses no 3rd close parentheses. I'm like, I'm not gonna write that every time. It's a C and a 5th. If we have C7ths, we have C6. Why not a C5? So no one showed that to me. I'm not claiming credit for it, but that's what they call it now. But I taught it for years before I ever actually saw it in a book or anything. But C5 to B flat 5, because that's a B flat note. Okay, if we went here, that would be B5. If we went here, it'd be C sharp 5, D5. Again, like I said, you're learning 12 chords. Okay, but we only need to learn 6 different chords here. Basically 5 chords, but 2 different versions of one of them. So we have C5 to B flat, okay? And then E flat to F. So 6th fret to the 7th fret, and all of this, or 6th fret to the 8th fret, and all of this occurs on the bottom, or on the 5th string with the first finger on the 5th string. I call it 5th string rooted. Okay, so the root is on the 5th string, and then the last 2 chords are going to be on the 6th string rooted, and we're going to go 1st fret, power chord on the bottom string. Yeah, I didn't call it no 5th because, you know, because you could play you could play one with a 5th in it, and it would probably be fine. You could add the 5th to that 6th, and it wouldn't be a problem. So yeah, and harmonically, he probably was playing a F at one point and then went, oh, if I add my pinky, it kind of is cool because it keeps that D. Roxanne, you don't have to put out the red line. He doesn't really sing a D in that melody, but Roxanne he does. Roxanne. He does sing a D there. Yeah, he doesn't. He ends on an F there. So yeah, so he doesn't. There's not a melodic reason, but Sting wrote this, not Andy Summers. Also, just a note. I did a video a while back on tips for guitar players with smaller hands, and I tried to encourage people by saying, here's a bunch of guitar players that have smaller hands, and Andy Summers was one of them. He's actually a pretty short little guy. He's got little hands, but he, you know, I mean, I'm not even sure how he plays it. I'll have to watch him sometime. I can't remember. But that's a serious stretch. So somehow he made that happen. Okay. So then the last 2 chords again are F to G. Okay. So we're gonna go over this rhythm here in a second. You got a break there to get to the change, right? Not really, actually. You have to move pretty quick. You have to move pretty quick on this. There's no gap. Okay, so the rhythm, let's look at the rhythm notation. The very first thing you see there after the 4/4 time signature is what's called a half rest. Okay, I remember it because it looks like a hat sitting there on the middle line. Okay, Lena, I don't know if you taught it that way too, but it kind of looks like a hat. So hat, half. Okay. Then we have that little thing. It looks like a backward 7. No, I can't. Yeah, no, actually, it looks like a 7. Wait, yeah, my brain. I'm looking at inversions of myself too much. Excuse me. And that's an 8th note rest. Okay, so you count 1, 2, and that gets you half note. And then 3 is where that half note rest is. And so we're playing on the and of 3. Then there's another 8th note rest and another 8th note. So we're playing on the and of 3 and 4. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Clap with me. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and I'm speeding up. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are where the changes occurred. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And if we want to do the whole phrase, I have to count 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4. Mugu's here. 2, 3, and. Yeah, it's probably easier to play it on, but no, Dennis, I would say it's not because, and he doesn't play with a capo on it. Because getting to this, if you had a capo on the 1st fret, you couldn't just slide your bar chord down. You'd have to do something like, you'd be like. you know, instead of just being able to slide your hand around, it's the same shape. You could literally put masking tape around these two fingers for that section of the song. You know, but if you're having a capo, you're going to go from open chords to power chords. So it might be a little bit more difficult in the chorus. The verses might be marginally easier, but really it's only the F chord, and that's, yeah, I don't know that it would be that much easier. So just so, in my opinion. Okay, now, actually, if I were to capo this song though, you know what I would probably do? Let's say I want to do an acoustic version of this. I would probably capo at the 3rd fret because I'm in G minor. So now I've got a beautiful. So then let me get this capo a little bit more straight. Get people commenting, your capo's crooked. OCD much? Oops. Roxanne. You know, I would do something, you know, I would have fun with it. And the capo makes it a lot easier to do things, you know, that you can't normally do with if you got a bar chord. And I've heard Sting do kind of chill versions of this song. You know, the chorus. And the other thing is, you almost, if you're doing that too, if you're going to do like an arrangement of it, that would be what I would call an arrangement of a song. I'm making it my own, okay? I'm arranging it. Sometimes people, sometimes arrangers would get a percentage of the new arrangement, a percentage of the song in royalties on a new arrangement. I don't think you're going to get that from Sting, but this may be a situation like Sam. You might not even have to play the C5, the E flat 5, or the F5. You might be able to rock, put on. You could just play the second. You don't even do the pushes. I'm not doing any of the syncopation because again, when you do what's called an arrangement, you're making it your own. You're doing your version of. If you wrote the song, how would you have done it? Okay. So right now we're talking about. No, we talked about this. Yeah, you don't really need to. You can if you want to be ready to go for here. You can. Bar. Sam's asking, should I on the F6 chord? We're talking about here on the previous section here. Should the F6 chord, that second chord, should you bar your first finger? You don't have to. It's not needed anywhere in that chord. But if you want to, in preparation for the E flat 6, a major 7 chord, you can totally do that. Yeah, right? I'd never even tried an acoustic mellow version of Roxanne. That was just the first time. That was like first interpretation. So, but it's cool, right? That way you could totally see doing that in a coffee shop or something. So, and like I said, I'm pretty sure Sting, like when he does it now, he does it super chill. He kind of, treats it so totally, yeah, totally, Sam, don't do that. Yeah, go ahead. If it's not, because your first finger is already down, your first finger is already barring for the first chord. So to keep your first finger, you know, I think naturally, I just naturally bar the top 3 strings on this F6 chord. Okay. And Sam, on that note, you know, I don't know many 6 chords that even have a 5th in it anyway. When if I see a C6 chord in a chart, I probably grab that. Well, that's just C with still A minor first inversion. So like the Django chords, you know, like that, the Django chord, very common to use 6 chords to get that. That's just a C, an A, and an E. There's no G here. I could do that one. Now that one would have a 5th. But if I just did this one, there's no 5th in there. So technically that could be also interpreted as an A minor chord with a C in the bass. But it's just easier to think of a C because C chord, because you got a C in the root. But that gypsy chords could be these just like 3-note little bursts and like nice little poppy chords. So cool. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna kind of try to hammer home this rhythm. Again, this is a song you like. All of you know this song. You've heard this song probably at least 100 times in your life. And we're talking about Roxanne by the Police. And so this rhythm is probably already in your head. And me showing it to you here, dang it. Yeah, I can't do this. Look at that here. Me showing it to you there is probably clouding and confusing the whole thing, okay? I almost don't want you to look at that. And just know that the chords are C, B flat, E flat, F5, again, F5 to G5, and again, repeats that, E flat to F, and then F to C. And here, when it goes to F, he actually hits that G sus. We could even do that one, or this one, or we can just do that one. I love you sometimes. So freaking. But when he goes around, put on the red line, right? He's singing up there. He's singing that D note. That's high for a freaking alto. I mean, it's like, that's, you know, maybe even sopranos. That's like in the middle of a soprano range. Holly, you're a soprano. Beth is a tenor. My wife's a tenor. I mean, you want to give her like tenor to alto lines. She loves singing harmony anyway, so she loves singing in those middle voices. Yeah, I think there's maybe some economy to that stamp to not have to change it. So, okay. So again, the rhythm here, 2, 3, bum, bum, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, F, G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, C, B flat, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, E flat, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, Okay, so that's the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and this would be the punkiest part of the song. 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, of so many levels. 1, 2, 3, the simplicity of the harmony, which is basically just power chords. Individually, the harmony is very simple, power chords. When you analyze it, I guess you could say, oh well, he's using all the notes in the key. So he's got the E flat and the F and the B and the D, or B flat and the D and the C and all this stuff. But it's driving eighth notes, it's power chords. So that's punk. You know, so much of punk is. You know, that would be kind of a punk feel. This one still is kind of a. And I didn't really get into a lot of punk, but I had a student in Indianapolis when I was teaching that was into a lot of punk bands, and he was into Sex Pistols, but he liked the Minutemen, he liked Black Flag, so he was bringing in all these records that I never heard before. And again, keep in mind, they weren't really playing that a lot on the radio stations. I'm not even sure where he heard these. That was the thing. Okay, I just watched that documentary about Tower Records, and it's kind of sad, and the demise of it was basically a, a documentary about the demise of the record business, of the changes in the record business. Um, but back in the day, you would, if you went to like the music stores. I mean, you remember going to a record store. I mean, we had a ton of record stores, and not the ones at the malls. Like the ones at the malls wouldn't play like the Camelot records. They wouldn't be playing like punk stuff. But if I remember hanging out at a record store, I don't remember what it was called now, but it was a one-off. It was somebody owned a record store. It was a guy, and he had employees. And this guy, Steve, no, Steve was but the guy Chris, he was hugely influential on me because he had really interesting taste in music, and he was into a lot of experimental music, and so he was always playing weird stuff in the store, and people would be milling through, and they'd be like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, that's cool. What is that?" Or he would play punk stuff, and that's kind of where I would hear it. But mostly, I heard the punk stuff from that one student. If I heard any punk at all, it was from this one student. And he would have sometimes a different band every week, sometimes just the same band but a different song on the record. And he would bring the record in, and I would put it on, and I would, that was teaching private lessons like that back in the day. You had 30 minutes to figure out a song, get it on paper, and have them playing it. I'm taking 2 hours here. It's a little more difficult when I can't interact directly with you. So, hey, Timothy, what's going on? Good to see you. That was, going to record stores. I remember going to the Stone Balloon. I remember I told you this. I would teach guitar lessons until like 8 o'clock at night, and then a couple nights a week I would go down to the Stone Balloon. It was like Led Zeppelin, but Stone Balloon. That was a record store, again, a one-off. Maybe they had 2 stores, but it was a pretty good-sized record store, and there was a girl there that worked by herself, and the owner paid me an album an hour to work 1 or 2 hours a night to make sure she wasn't alone in the store. Not that I was any kind of big burly guy, right? But I didn't have a job. I was never behind the register. So all I did was peruse albums, and being the nice guy that I was, I felt bad because I think the records were $4.99 and minimum wage was like $3.25. So I was like, well, I'm not going to take a $4.99 record. That wouldn't be right. So I would just peruse the cutout bins. So I would my 99-second record collection with the corners cut out was massive. I still have so many of those records. But I really grew my record collection so much with working at Stone Balloon. And it didn't hurt that the girl was really cute. And she was actually dating married Mac McNally, who was the big rock star in Indianapolis at the time. So it was also kind of, I already knew her through that because I knew the band. Even though they were like 10 years older than me. I already kind of had met her. And so that was the other reason why, I was always at the store anyway. And the owner knew that I knew her, so there was already that thing going on. I wasn't trying to hit on her or anything, but she was really cute. Flipside Records, I do not. Was that a chain? I bought the Brothers Johnson. The Brothers Johnson record I bought. That was a cutout. I got that one with Strawberry Letter 22 on it. Oh, that's funny. Mama Cass hit. Joseph saying that Mama Cass hit her head and screamed, and from that point on, she could hit a high note that she could hit any other way. So I've never heard that story. Yeah, Sam, exactly. You had to go to the record store. I mean, it's sad. It's so different. I mean, but I don't think music is less diverse. See, in fact, Beato just did a video on the fact that most music now that's generating revenue is older music, not newer music, and it's like it's 70-30 or something like that. And in some ways that makes a lot of sense. But again, people, like a lot of Beato viewers, tend to compare the wrong things. They compare, you know, Justin Bieber with Led Zeppelin, like, music sucks today. It's like, no, you're comparing apples and oranges. Stairway to Heaven was not a top 40 hit when it came out. It was on the radio because there were rock stations that played those records. Like if Zeppelin had a new record, that was Zeppelin 4. I don't know how many radio stations played Zeppelin 1 because that was 68. They were playing Beatles. They weren't playing Zeppelin 1. It wasn't until like Zeppelin 2 that they started playing the records. And they had some credibility and they started to get, you know, whatever. Or the Beatles broke up and that was big. That opened the door for a lot of artists. No, you compare Justin Bieber or Ariana Grande or Katy Perry or whoever, you know, whatever artist you want to, Drake or whoever, you compare it to Captain and Tennille, because those were the top 10. Muskrat Love was to say that the music in the 70s was better than the music today is ignoring the fact that Muskrat Love was a top 10 hit. Disco Duck was a #1 hit. You can't make that argument that the music yesterday was better than today. I will make the argument, even this is tough, because you could make the argument that the music of yesterday was more human than today. I don't necessarily believe that. Even though there's a lot of machines and quantizing is when you automatically move something to the next beat. So if you're a little early or a little late, it'll put you right on a beat, so it's locked. Okay, and they don't do that with my guitars when I play on a record. So it's very human. Part of the reason why I think people like using my guitars on stuff. But I'm pretty darn close to the beat. As was Ringo Starr. You can sit there with a metronome and tap out Beatles songs. They weren't using a click. And Ringo, there's a saying that clicks use Ringo as their metronome. Metronomes use Ringo to get their time, you know, because his time was so good. And so a lot of players were really good. My friend Walter, who's been on here before, Walter Rodriguez, you all know Walter, he's got a channel too, but he just recently moved to Nashville. It's a bummer. Next week, this coming weekend's our last weekend playing together at church. He's been flying back to California every weekend to play at church for the last 6 months, 7-8 months. And so he's tired, he's worn out, he's not going to do that anymore. And he's starting to get in a fork there. He's starting to compose. And one of the things he wanted to know how to do in Logic, and I know how to do it, but I couldn't remember. You know, it's one of those things you don't use very often. He goes, I'm writing music for a cartoon, and he wants to play something but have the tempo change, and then he wants to create a tempo map from what he plays so that when he scores it, it will stick to that tempo. You can even just hit one note and then kind of change the speed of it. And there's a way to take that music, that MIDI file or audio file, and have it be the guide for the tempo track. And then it's called tempo map. And it's called tempo mapping, basically. And you can sit there and draw it in by hand, but you want to play it, you want to feel it. And so I was like, what? I know I did this recently. What did I do it for? Well, I had to do a takedown of All Along the Watchtower, okay? Let me, let's see. I have it open right now, but I can't play it, okay? But I'll do a screenshot of the tempo map, okay? I'm going to show you what the tempo map of All Along the Watchtower looks like, okay? And we're going to drag this in. And it's, talk about human. And this is the Jimi Hendrix version, okay? All right. So, check this out. And this is what people make valid arguments that everything's on the grid today. You know, so I'm just kind of moving things around here. Oh, there it is. Okay, can you see this? I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so you see that it's like 107 at the beginning, and 111, and then 108, 109, 110. It's all in the same neighborhood, but it gets up to 118. I don't know what that 101 is down there. It may retard a little bit in the middle, but you can see that the tempo is not perfect. If I were to do this to a Beatles tune, I think you would be shocked at how tight it is compared to. But you know, they were jamming. This is a jam. This is. So I'm going to delete this now. But you get the idea. Okay. So I get that. but you're discounting the fact that in comparing yesterday to today, music, there actually is bands like Zeppelin. I don't know if there's any. There's the cutting edge thing's harder to do, but there are, Queens of the Stone Age is a great band, and they've got new records out. That's a great riff band. There's great music out today. There's great sounding music out today, and so it's not like, I don't think that's really any different. It's just that people tend to focus on what's on the top 40 charts, and here in Los Angeles, a spot on a dial costs $50 million. So you can't just play obscure music. There was a station in LA that played John Hyatt and Bonnie Raitt and things like that, and I love that station. And it only lasted about a year, and then it got bought up and turned into a Mexican music station with the oompa oompa, not even reggaeton. Of course, I'm so tired of that reggaeton beat. All the pop songs now are reggaeton beats. But what's the mariachi? Not even mariachi. What's that? Nortet or Norteña music. Norteña music. A lot of that kind of stuff. It was like, it was like, oh yeah, and yet that station had a lot more listeners. They made a lot more money as a Latin music station. Yeah, and those stations in LA don't even play Latin pop. Like, they won't play a Latin pop song, or Ariana Grande Spanish song. No, that's still on the pop radio stations. Our KLOS is our rock station that's been around forever, and they were the station that played, KMET was another one that played rock, and if they were around, they would be competing with KLOS. But that's what happened. Their formats were identical. I just noticed that 97.1 became talk radio. It was a pop top 40 radio station, and it became just news, just local, just news and traffic and stocks and sports and stuff like that, right? It became a mirror of an AM station. It's the same exact thing, except it's not staticky like an AM station. Okay, was a pop station, was competing with Kiss FM, and it just wasn't enough market revenue, for market enough people listening. So yeah, 50 million is that? Yeah, that's cheap. 50 million, and that was years ago. I don't know, maybe more now. I don't know. I think radio is kind of on the out because the kids listen to Spotify in the car or Apple Music. They don't listen to radio for the most part. I like to listen to radio. The best radio station here in LA that when I couldn't get in Pasadena, but it's just around the corner from us here in Northridge, is CSUN, Cal State's the Cal State University of Northridge, and their radio station. It's all old K-Rock DJs. So it's all the DJs from the 80s that launched a million bands and played cutting edge music in the 80s. The Police, you wouldn't know who the Police were if it weren't for K-Rock. K-Rock was the first station in the U.S. to play the Police. Well, no, there's the New York station too that might have been the first. But K-Rock and that New York station, which I can't remember the name of it, but K-Rock played, Oingo Boingo like crazy. You wouldn't know who Oingo Boingo was. You wouldn't know who Duran Duran was, or the Fix, or all the British second British wave invasion. They were playing all that stuff, before MTV got it. MTV would get their playlist from K-Rock, because those DJs were hunting down music. One of the DJs, Johnny Blade. No, what was? One of them was from England, so he was always hip to all that stuff. So, see, Dave Barry. Where are you, Tim? You're in the burbs. You said South Elgin. Oh, Elgin. Elgin, Illinois. Yeah, so it's hard to find, like, this station, CSUN 88.5 in Los Angeles. Like, on Sunday mornings they have an hour of Dylan. They play Dylan or Dylan covers. They have a Beatles hour, but they also are playing, like, if somebody, a cool band. I mean, if the Stones came out with a new record, they played it. The rock station that plays old Stones songs wouldn't play the new Stones record. That never makes sense to me. It's like, give them a chance. I mean, I know they're already billionaires, but why not play the new Stones record? You know, it may be good. Who knows? You know, people may like it, but they want to hear, you know, Brown Sugar. So, okay. So let's try to, I'm going to stop here in a minute, but let's try to get these chords 2, 3. Okay? I'm just playing them down at the low F to G. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And you can start doing that 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3. So the and a 3 and a 4, 2, 3, and you can just loop it. It's like I said, it's kind of a 2, 3. What's that? A Mobius strip. It's kind of a Mobius strip of a progression. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And once you get that down, then you can start adding the eighth notes in the drive. But I wrote the frets below. That's what the parentheses numbers are. So you can at least have a clue of what fret you're at. It doesn't tell you what string you're on. You have to figure that out for yourself. But learn the notes on the bottom 2 strings. Oh, are you talking about a music store still open? Yeah, it's hard to find record stores. Pooh-Bah's is still open in Pasadena. They sell used albums, CDs. They sell new CDs and albums. And I think it's the same size as it ever was. It moved. There was a tower in Pasadena. I used to go there all the time. Okay, any questions on this song? Any aspect? Do you need me to show you anything again? I love how you have conversations. I lived in San Francisco in '89, and the Bay Area had great radio stations. Yes, yeah. And when I first moved to LA in '83, K-Rock, like I said, was a really good station. Part of the problem with one of the things that happened was you started to have, like, Kiss FM had, instead of having a programmer at every station, you started to have these stations that, you know, you'd have one company owning 50 stations, and they would just hire one programmer for all 50 stations, right? So they, you know, you go to Indiana and you listen to the Kiss FM there, and they're playing the exact same songs they're playing the Kiss FM here. In fact, they were even called all Kiss FM, even though their call symbol was not Kiss. You know, like LA, it's K-I-I-S. So it's Kais, Kiss, or whatever. But they use the same programmers, and you know, it stopped being regional. Which, like, the Indianapolis station, one of the Indianapolis rock stations, like, sometimes I'll listen to it. One day I pulled it up. I put it on. I put it up on iHeartRadio, which is great. iHeartRadio is great because you can hook it up to your car, and you don't get any static. You can listen to talk radio. You can listen to, you know, it's just really clean. As long as you've got, like, cell service, you've got pretty good coverage. But the great thing about it is you can listen to stations all over the world. And so I actually, one time I pulled up the local Indianapolis station that, you know, I used to listen to when I was there, and it, you know, it's playing music, and Beth is in the car. She didn't notice. And all of a sudden they start talking about Shadeland Road and 465 and, you know, downtown Indianapolis and the Colts. And she's like, "What station is this?" I was like, totally just punking her. But it's fun because it takes you back to, you know, you can listen to your hometown station. It's kind of fun. And they will still overplay John Mellencamp, right? Or who's another indie, you know, well, they'll overplay REO Speedwagon, the Chicago band, Styx, things like that. Where in LA, they hardly ever play John Mellencamp. They hardly ever play REO Speedwagon. REO Speedwagon, which I never really liked, was a big band in Indianapolis. because they were Chicago-based. Speaking of Chicago, Cheap Trick. No, isn't that Cheap Trick from Chicago too? So you know, but you would have more regional bands. Like you'd get a lot of Bob Seger because Bob Seger was from Michigan. You know, you would get a lot of Bob Seger in Indiana music. I'm trying to think of other Indiana bands. You had Mellencamp, and then the local bands they would never really play. But then you know they used to have contests. Like all radio stations would have contests, like unsigned band contests, and they'd release records. I forget the name of the station. Not KRP, W something. Obviously in Indianapolis, it's W east of the Mississippi, but they had. I have it still. I think one of the records where it was 10 tracks, 5 per side, and it was all local bands, 10 different local bands. And they would have a contest, you know, and 100 bands would send their tapes in, and they would pick the 10 best, and they'd release it. I don't know that they re-recorded it. If I played the first G minor on the 10th fret, you could play, yeah, if you wanted to, oh, I see what you're saying. So you could, yeah, you could go 10, 12, 12, like that. Basically taking the A minor shape. Sorry, I got rid of my foot pedal. Here we go. You take that A minor shape and up to the 12th fret, 10th fret, sorry. I don't remember Uncle Larry. Let's see. So that would be X and then 10, 12, 12, 11, 10. That would be G minor. But for F6, you might have to play something like this. If you want to play everything on the middle, you know. I'm pretty sure he's not playing that. Maybe sometimes he would go up to that live. But I'm pretty sure on the track it's this one. But just so you know, yeah, that would be G minor up there. And then F6 would be like I just doing like getting this one note here at the 8th fret, and then and that would be a pure Sam. That would be a pure F6. You've got the 5th and the 6th in there. But you could also call it a first inversion D minor 7 chord if you want, Sam. Oh, nice. Yeah. Bob Seger's great. I always, you know, Bob Seger's tunes just kind of felt like home for me. And so some stations are one-off stations, just like record stores are one-offs, right? Some record stores are one-offs, some of them were chains. And so like there's a KISS FM in Indianapolis, and they pretty much have the same playlist. They have to play the same music. The programmer, programmer job was, and maybe part of the reason why programmer, like it's one person instead of a programmer for every station was because of payola scandals. There's a book called, let's see if I can find it on Amazon. Hold on a second. I'll give you a link. It's an interesting read. I read it. Someone told me, don't read this if you're going to go into the music business because you'll know it's rigged. It's called Hitman. Yeah, here it is. Let me give you a link here. It's a good read. It's kind of fascinating. I mean, it's got plenty of depravity. So if you're really into that, there's just different. It says copiously researched and documented Hitman is highly controversial portrait of the pop music industry in all its wild, ruthless glory. The insatiable greed and ambition and enormous egos, the fierce struggles for profits and power, vendettas, rivalries, shakedowns, and payoffs, chronicling the evolution of America's largest music labels from the Tin Pan Alley days to the present day, which present day was written in 91, so it's not, it almost like maybe talks about CDs, but it was, I think, partially because of this book and also partially because of the criminal investigations and people went to jail for payola. and there was a whole huge mob element in the record industry. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. Sorry, I can bring this over too and make this bigger. Now you can do a screenshot and get everything. But someone said, don't read it. You'll be discouraged. You won't want to go into the music business. You'll realize it's rigged. And I read it, and it didn't, I wasn't too worried about it. I wasn't trying to get necessarily in the music business. My days of being in a band, signed band, was way behind me. Any thoughts on drummer and GarageBand? What's your choice for writing? I use drummer all the time, Timothy. But it depends on what I'm writing. If I'm writing for pop producers, I will often drop in a drummer groove to play to. If I'm going to come up with something, in fact, for ETA, for Bieber, I think I played against one of the hip hops with the trap hats and all that stuff, just to give me a groove. Once I found the tempo I wanted to play it, I kind of set it there, and it gives me feels like I'm jamming with somebody, and I kind of play off it a little bit. And once I settle in and kind of feel good, and I try to lay back a little bit too, kind of lay back again, And you can set the drummer, you can set it to be more laid back or more anticipatory, to be play at the top of the beat or the back of the beat. It's a very subtle thing. But if you're a player, you notice it. So yeah, I use it all the time. But when I send them the track, I don't send them the drummer. They would be like, "What is that? That's so cheesy," or whatever. They would, because they're gonna write, if they do drums to it, they're gonna come up with their own. They're gonna have somebody come up with something fresh and new and just like that. But when I'm writing for TV stuff, I often will use drummer in Logic, which I don't know how similar it is to GarageBand. I'm sure it's not quite as complex. One thing you can do though, Timothy, which is really, really cool, is you can say I play this rhythm. I'm gonna play something, and I'm playing against a click. Right? And I recorded it on a track, and I call it electric guitar main, or rhythm electric guitar, or something like that. When you load drummer in Logic, and I don't know if it's as true in GarageBand, I could pull it up right now, but I don't want to. You can choose. What is it? Hold on a second. Let me pull. I have Logic open, so I can pull up drummer in Logic. Sure. So you've got. You got that. There's a button there. If in Logic it says follow, click on that, and it'll ask you what track you want to follow. And in this case, I've got All Along Watchtower in here. Remember, I showed you the tempo map for that. So it's automatically analyzing All Along the Watchtower, and now it's going to jam along with that. So the cool thing is, in drummer, you can play something instead of drummer allows you not to have to program drums, and you've got this XY thing where it's louder and busier, quieter and simpler, and then anywhere in between all of those, this XY thing. So you just drag it where you want it, and you got multiple grooves to start with, and you can change the hi-hat pattern. You can add tambourine or percussion, hand claps or whatever. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty involved, and it's a great starting place. But I've actually used it for TV show grooves, because it's like a lot of rock. If I'm just doing something like, I went away from that track. Hold on. Where's my guitar? Here it is. If I did something like to have drums are, but if you hit that follow button and you drag it to your electric guitar main, then the drums will. It'll probably know. It'll start to do. It'll imitate what you're doing with it. It would imagine. It's total AI, artificial intelligence. It will imagine what a drummer would do over that groove. It's really quite fascinating. So then you end up with a groove that's not in there programmed. He's playing to you, and if you're a little late on a note, it'll make a note of that, and the kick might match your if you hit that G note, that G chord a little late, the kick will probably boom, boom, like line up with it. I could probably show you. I could probably do it, but anyways. How's it going, Maggie? Oh, hey, I actually recorded. I recorded about I don't know, maybe 40 minutes of maybe an hour of video. So I have to edit it. I need to do it sooner than later though, because he's talking about everybody get their drinks out because I'm going to talk about Apex Legends. The newest character is Mad Maggie on Apex Legends, and she was released as a character last week. I think Monday last week, a week ago, maybe Sunday. I don't know when they release characters. And I think the music pack, normally you have to buy the music pack, but I think that they made it free this time. They included it with the characters. So I did and Maggie is very guitar heavy. And so I had to go through my old sessions and find them and pull them up. And so basically I pull up the old sessions for a couple different cues from Maggie. I think the lobby cue and the lobby music and the character select, or the main, I forget. And I kind of I look at it and I go, oh, I use this guitar and I did this effect and here are the effects. And I have to kind of compare it with what got ultimately released, because what I send Steven, the composer, I may send him 20 or 30 tracks of guitars and he may only use one of them. So, because I want to give him lots of options. Because a lot of times he just wants me to create weird stuff. And sometimes there's things in there that I create a lot of sounds that don't sound like guitar. That sound like soundscapes and weird noises and stuff like that. And those may be in there, and I'm like, I don't know, that may be me, or that could be synth, I'm not sure, but that's what Steven likes me. He's one of the favorite things for me to do is to kind of he calls it being a mad scientist, and I love it. It's so much fun to kind of tinker with things and go, oh, that's weird, you can get like, what the heck is that? So yeah, I talk about that. So that I'll take a sip. Because anytime I talk about Apex Legends, we take a sip. So the rest of today I'm taking off. I maybe do one little session. I've got one thing I need to do, and there's no hurry on it, but I kind of want to get it off my plate, if you know what I mean. But my plan is to kind of take the rest of the day off. So I hope to have it released by the end of this week. Okay, just so you know. Country Joe and the Fish at Woodstock. Yes. Joseph. Let's see. Detroit probably has really good racing. That's where Motown was. I mean, it's like, yeah, imagine Detroit. And it's just LA is so Hollywood. It's hard. We have like 3 NPR stations, and sometimes you flip between them and they're all playing the same thing. I'm like, they're playing the same show. It's like kind of silly, but okay. So no questions about this song. Okay, so I edited. I mean, I dropped both of these screen caps into into Discord. Go to the link there above. That's a join link. You can join for free. Discord group. If you're already familiar with Discord, you can just add it to your list. Yeah, no, it's gonna be good. I've worked a lot. I've worked a lot since Beth was gone. She was gone for a week. I just really try to make it nonstop working, because I'll work during the day, and then when she gets home from work, I usually like want to hang out for a little while, and maybe I'll go back to work when she goes to bed or something. She goes to bed early and gets up early, so I'll work until midnight or something. A lot of nights, until I get too tired to kind of do quality work. If it's taking me 8 punches to do something I should do in one take, that's what usually when I go, yeah, I think it's time to go to bed. So, yeah, you all have a great week. I don't know. I haven't picked a song for next week. I have the next electric song. I believe. I think I have the next electric song. But the next acoustic song, I'm going to try to pick something. I have a list. Let me see my list. Where are you, list? Here we go. Live stream ideas. All right. Some of these are hard. Oh man, I could, you know. I'm just having a hard time. Yeah, I want to mix it up. I don't want to do the same band too often. You know, I could do 5 different Led Zeppelin tunes. Would be fun. Ultimately, we'll have several Led Zeppelin tunes, several Beatles songs. It's hard. Some of them are like I would love to teach you like. Yeah, I would love to teach you that. That's just really hard. It's almost something I need to be face to face with you on. And even like I was thinking, Dust in the Wind. We could do Dust in the Wind. That'll probably be on the list. That one's you're gonna have to get that finger picking pattern down. And there's 2 ways to do it. Kind of a pure Travis pattern. We did good, Holly. We had a good showing. I think we peaked at looks like 45. We're still sitting in the 30s. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Somebody said only 4% of your viewers subscribe, and that's not true of the live stream. I think almost all my live stream people are subscribed, but I guess what's 4% of 3 million? I've had 3 million views, over 3 million views of 7 Tips for Older Beginners. So 100,000 is less than. So if no, that's the wrong button. There we go. So 3 million, right? Times 0.04 equals 120,000. So yeah, it's pretty darn close. It's pretty darn close. It's actually over 3 million, and so it should be more like 125 or something like that. So I'm about 25% off of, not bad attendance. Yeah, Norwegian Wood is it's a great little hook. And it's just that groove, that groove, that first part is, the rest of it's not that hard. It's just basic chords, but, and it's, again, it's also another 6/8 one, and it's another John one. So John loves 6/8. Did I use Norwegian Wood in that? I can't remember. And they may have called it a waltz, like a 3/4, but it's technically, I feel it as a 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, you were looking at that Beatles song on Ultimate Guitar. Yeah, yep. Oh sure. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna do any of the. No, I wanted a song that you can sing. I'm imagining song. Come on, I just want you guys to have fun at a campfire and engage as many people as possible. If I put up a Jorma song, no one's gonna know it. It's funny. I mean, yeah, it's all. Oh, you're talking about Drop D. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just go back just a few. Timothy, family drama. Yeah, I understand. So let's see. Hey, Christopher's in the house now. Okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed this. Yeah, so I'm going to keep doing this until they stop. They don't let me monetize. Because although again, I mean, what? Let me look at the first one. I like being honest with you guys about how much this pays. You know, I appreciate the super chat because it's like, okay, you know, I actually made $20 on that live stream or $40. Sometimes I'll make you guys give me, you know, $40, $50, $50, $60. And it's like, okay, it's not even close to what I would charge for a guitar lesson, but it's all right. But if I click on my live content and I go to the first one we did, Mr. Song number 1, we're up to 1,000 views on that one, which is interesting because the next one only has 588. But if I click on analytics, how much money has that made me? Well, with Super Chat, $24. Yeah, not bad, but it's not. It's the income is literally since it's been uploaded. It was 1960 that day, and then since then it's 24.51. So it's slightly less than $5 in revenue in the 5 weeks since it's been released, and I lost 4 subscribers. It's got a -4. Now people are still watching it. I got 9 people watching. I got someone watching it right now, which is creepy that I can know this. But yeah, it's just weird the subscriber thing. Oh, I gained so I right away lost 4, and then I gained 1, and then I lost another one. So I get it. You know, because I'm real chatty. We're talking here. We're interacting. I keep the live stream up. I mean, I keep the live chat up, so people should see who I'm interacting with. There's an option when I post these that I can hide the live chat. That would be if I didn't acknowledge you at all, then I would do that. If I was just doing a live stream and not acknowledging the live chat, then I would hide it. There would be no reason for people to see whatever. Although sometimes there's a lot of great information here. But because I interact so much with you, I try to make sure, and I hope it's always there, right? Everybody's not. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad I like being here. For me, it's therapy. To be able to talk to someone during the whole COVID thing, all started with COVID. And it was like, I can't, I'm a people person. I got to be around people. I can't do this, cooped up in the house. In California, I mean, it was like, don't leave your house. It was like that. It was crazy. It was insanity. So now we know it was insanity. But Once Enough by Barry Lamb. Oh, is that a... Yeah, I mean, I'm not... There may be a song that I teach that's maybe on the obscure side coming up. But so far, I've been able to monetize. So they haven't taken away the monetization. Everything, it says monetization on all of them. The last week's one is 567 views. My total revenue on that one, $1.51. Okay, so all I've made is money from viewers, and there was no super chat or anything like that. So yeah, and it's got also 9 views in the last 48 hours. So people are going back and watching those. So I like being honest with you. Know that I'm doing this, just for the love of doing it more than I'm doing it for the money. I mean, I would love to have another Catch Lightning in a bottle again and have another 7 tips for older beginners. I am going to do 7 more tips for older beginners. I have 6. I need 1 more tip that I'm trying to think of, another one. And I'm going to change it to 7 tips for all beginners. 7 more tips for all beginners. And so that as soon as I have those, I'll film those, and it'll be maybe a little bit better production than the original one. But I don't know that it's going to blow up and be 3 million views. I can't imagine that. But it's always good. The beginner market is the biggest market. And originally I was kind of shooting for the wannabe pros and giving away the secrets. That's why my channel is called Pro Guitar Secrets, because I bake a living doing this, and I have for a long time. And I'm by no means the best guitar player in LA. I'm not even close. But there's a lot of better guitar. Thank you, Timothy. But there are a lot of better guitar players here in town today. They have to work at Guitar Center, or they have to work at Starbucks or something. So that's a whole nother, that's the hard part. The things they don't teach you in music school. I only went to music school for 1 year, and it was a classical music. Really, they only taught classical music, so it wasn't even a consideration on teaching you how to get work or how to be a professional musician. That wasn't even a concept back in the 70s when I went to college. So now that maybe a little bit more, but yeah, 99% of what I use every day I never would have learned in college, let alone I did learn. So yes, thank you, Timothy. Okay. Yeah, yeah. The isolation thing is ending, and our numbers have gone down. Remember, Holly, when we first started, we were having 50, 60 people at a time watching. It was crazy. I mean, I think I could go back on those early ones and look and see the viewer count on the original views were really high. But that's because people were stuck at home. So everybody's back to work now. Everybody's back to school now, So, but I love doing this, and it's fun to teach songs. It's kind of a different thing. And like I said, I'm trying to teach songs. I'm trying to teach this from multiple different directions. So you're learning stuff. You're learning about reading rhythms. You're learning about maybe a little bit about harmony, maybe a little bit about the song or about the artist or whatever. It's weird if I don't make this window big enough, some stuff disappears. It's like was that anti-aliasing or what's that called? Anyway, so okay, now I'm gonna stop. I've got things I want to do, and we will pick up on Monday next week, Lord willing. Also, I do have some kind of major demolition work coming up on my pool, which is on the other side of the wall behind you guys, right there. And so I don't know what day they're going to do it. It may be on the weekend. I don't know. But when they do it, I probably won't be able to sit here and be able to. So if it happens on a Monday, I may have to push, and I'll let you know. It may be even something where they show up and we're trying to do a lesson, and all of a sudden it's like jackhammers or whatever. But we've got to do some major work on the pool. We're trying to keep it's losing water, and it's losing tiles falling. So I'm gonna spend like $10,000. Thank you so much, Timothy, for your help there. I hate spending money on that, but it's like, but if you know, ultimately it'll look nicer. It will be more stable. The pool was done in kind of it was kind of not done the right way, and so we're having issues with it, and so my pool guy thinks he can fix it. We'll see. But I'm getting a new skimmer. I'm getting an auto filler, which is nice. So when the water gets to below a certain level, it will automatically fill it. Because what happens is I'll like, oh, I got to add water to the pool, and I'll put the hose in there, and I'll forget, and I'll go out there, and it's overflowing, and water's going down the drain, and I'm like, it's California. We can't afford to lose the water. So I feel like an idiot. So the auto filler is great. So I won't have to do it. It'll do it for me, and it'll keep the pool at a perfect level. So that'll be nice. And the new skimmer system, there's a leak in there somewhere. He can tell because he can't get pressure to vacuum the bottom. So that means there's a leak, which means there's water going somewhere. We don't know. We haven't found it. So I'm afraid we're going to have a sinkhole at some point. So that's where we got to do that. So that's part of it. And then we're replacing. You don't need to know any of this, do you? How's my viewership going? It's going up, and I'm talking about my pool for you. You guys are so invested in my life. But again, thanks for the super chat money, Joseph. Thank you for buying me my coffee, and we'll probably do an acoustic song. So I have your acoustic guitar ready next week. I'm pretty sure I'll pick another acoustic song, and we'll see. I was trying to find a John, but we could do like Rocky Mountain High. That's a really easy one, something like that. That might not be a bad one. I don't know. I just gave it away, so I'm not going to make it Rocky Mountain High because I like the guessing game at the front. I don't know if you like that, but I love giving you little clues. And then Holly ultimately got it, and you would have gotten the name of the song if you'd gone even 2 minutes further. So I gave it up at that point because I figured once you got first record Police 1970s, you probably Roxanne's going to be the most logical. So and that whole record is actually very playable. If you can play Roxanne's probably the hardest song on that record. If you can play Roxanne, you can probably play most of that record. So I just thought of another song that would be kind of fun to learn. So anyway, I'm going to write it down before I forget. But I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see. I'll see you next Monday unless there's construction going on.